Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm super excited to bring you the latest release from Magic Square. This of course is the MS-B44EX Ken. This is the fully painted version of their Ironhide. I believe this is the third release. I have the original, but not the second one, but we'll certainly do a comparison with what I have. He's a great figure, great mold, always has been, and let's see if they've improved it. Let's go ahead and dive in. As far as accessories, he actually comes with a lot, just like the original. Multiple sets of hands. The first set is a pair of posing hands, grasping, similar to what we got with Prime for opening the Matrix Chamber. All the hands are nicely detailed. A little bit of flashing on them in some cases, but for the most part, they're pretty well clean. Get a pair of happy hands. Get a pair of pointing finger hands. You get a pair of the gray nozzle hand attachments. And you get a pair of the red nozzle hand attachments. These are actually painted. You get the arm radar, this time done in silver. You get the rocket pack, also done in silver. You get his blaster. All of his accessories are in gray in the original. Nicely done in silver here. This is not the face that comes installed. This is the more stoic face. He comes with an angry face as well, which we'll take a look at in robot mode, but both faces are done nicely. It's silver paint and blue for the eyes. And then we do get his rocket pack done in silver. Again, it does separate as before, but it looks really good with these colors. And that brings us to the alt mode. We're going to start in alt mode and do the transformation into robot mode, since we did the opposite in the original review, which I'll put a link to it right here. But this is an amazing deco for this figure. I love the mold originally, but man, this definitely adds something to it. You notice everything is painted with the gloss red. Different metallic blue for the windows and windshield. It's definitely more speckled in this version. Everything you see is nice glossy red paint. Looking at the front, we've got silver paint for the bumper and headlights. Coming to this side, everything is exactly the same. Silver for the rims, which do have rubber tires. Looking at the back, silver, orange for the taillights, and silver for the bumper. And blue for the windows, orange for the taillights, silver for the bumper. There's a V from the bottom. You do have weapon storage for his gun. If you decide to do that, it's easiest to do it during the transformation phase, but that's where the gun would plug in. But overall, just an amazing look to this figure with this paint. I don't actually have any flaws or chipping anywhere that I've seen as of yet, minus the bumper. I believe that's where the sprues were, but not a huge deal. Everything else looks fantastic. Here he is with the original unpainted version. As you can tell, the main difference is the red. Gray for the wheels on the original, but the windows do have a deeper, more flecked paint. It's a little bit hard to catch on camera, but it is definitely a difference. As is tradition, here he is with New Age Jazz. And here he is with Magic Square's original release of Optimus Prime 2.0. Let's go ahead and get started with the transformation. I do recommend having a spudger handy because all the extra paint does make a lot of the connections tight. I like to start with the front, just folding down the bumper, undoing this connection here, if you can get to it, and use a spudger to start the windows by pushing them out a little bit. Like so. Go ahead and rotate these up. Fold these connections down. We can then pull up a little bit, give us a little room here. Fold these side sections out. And then bring this section down. Go ahead and flip this around. Bring the legs down like so. And we'll get started here. Separate there. Undo the connection here at the rear. There's two, just like so. Now, what we want to do here, flip the long section first, small section second, and then stow that. We can now come here, tilt that to the side, breaking that connection. Swing this down and pivot it in like so, and go ahead and rotate the foot. And we'll show that again. But bring this leg panel up, this leg panel down, swing this down. This section will compress into the leg, like so. Just be mindful of your tires because they can begin to pop off. If they do, just put them back on. Bring this section of the leg down, compress, and then make this connection here. And we'll show that again. So, separate these connections. Small panel comes in first. So, sorry, did that backwards. Big panel comes in first, small comes in second. And the entire section there folds down. Coming down to the lower leg. Go ahead and tilt your foot out. Rotate the big panel out and then the small panel. Break the connection on the back. Like so. Fold this down and rotate your foot 180, and this will pivot in like so. Go ahead and leave it out for now. Bring your leg in. Again, be mindful of your rubber tire when making that connection. Bring the side of the leg in. And there you go. There are the legs done. At this point, we can go ahead and fold this section down. This section will need to be rotated 180 degrees. So go ahead and do that while you lift. This panel comes and pegs in here on the waist. Okay, this is where it gets a little tough with some paint issues. Bring your arms down. And we need to rotate here like so. That first couple of transformations, this section is extremely stiff. So just be careful making this pivot right here like that. If they haven't already, the shoulders would be up like this in alt mode. Go ahead and slide them down and keep your arms up like so. Make sure that these are pushed down and then in. So you want them straight up and down like that. And then this will pivot up. Bring this down. This goes behind the windshield, which is always scary with the paint. These panels will fold up, but ultimately work the chest into position. This will come up above and then peg in, and these will fold closed. Now, may have a little difficulty with the arms up like that, so make sure that the shoulders are in the right position to allow it to close. Bring your arms down. Separate the window like so. This will fold up. This will fold down and make the connection there. Swing your arm around. We'll show that again. So separate, fold this section 90 degrees, fold it in, fold this one up, and bring it together. Bring your arm down, rotate, and rotate your hands into the proper place. Whew. And there we go. And here we have him in his robot mode. And I gotta say, he looks fantastic. Zoom in on the face here. Beautiful red paint for the head. Silver comes through on the face. Blue comes through on the eyes as well. And you can tell it's painted because if you look at the bottom, no sheen. It's just red plastic. This is an issue. So I'm going to glue mine down, but this panel wants to come off. I think it has something to do with the paint, maybe a bad day at the factory, but you can simply just plug it back in, and in most cases, it'll stay nicely. But when you manipulate the head, due to the tightness of the paint causing the joints to be a little stiff, it likes to pop that panel out. Not a huge issue, it just pops back in. Nice detail across the shoulders. Speaking of the shoulders, they can go up to 90. They can go up further if you utilize the transformation joint. Nice gray paint, red paint throughout on the arm. You do get more than 90 on the bend and rotation above the elbow. Hands are on pegs. They simply come out, do give you rotation. Chest, beautiful paint across the entire thing. Blue for the windshield, silver for the bumpers coming through. A little bit of a scuff in the silver paint there, not a major issue. Coming out of the waist, you've got gray for the abdomen, and then silver for the front of the crotch. You do still get that nice 360 rotation and that well done ab crunch. Joints in the legs, hip skirts are a little tight, but you do still get that nice kick up more than you would expect. And coming back down, that's as far back as we've come to expect with Pro Magic Square. Rotation at the hip. The knee will get you the full run. Pelvis, legs, all done in silver paint all the way around. Legs, you've got some detail in the sculpt, but red paint completely around on the bottom legs. As far as the foot, no up or down. You do get a very nice rocker, and if you need to, for additional stabilization, you can pivot the toes 360 degrees. So overall, fantastic sculpt in my opinion. There's the view from the back. Clean but large here on the backpack, as we saw before. But he looks and feels amazing. The feel of this figure is so much more substantial feeling than the original. Speaking of which, here we can see the differences. Gray for the legs instead of silver. The blue, again, it's hard to see, but there is a lot more speckle to the new version. And of course, you've got the matte red throughout where he's fully painted. Both fantastic molds, in my opinion. And with the accessory options, you can definitely deck them out any way you want. You've got multiple nozzle and hand options. As you do use the accessories, just keep in mind, all of the connections now have a coat of paint that weren't there on the original, so they're going to be very, very tight. But you can utilize everything in his arsenal in order to give you multiple display options. So let's talk about the figure. As before, I really feel like this mold is fantastic. And in this case, the added paint does add some difficulty with the transformation, with adding the accessories due to tight joints. Tolerances for transformation are a little bit off. Otherwise, the mold is fantastic. The paint that's there is fantastically done. Some minor issues with tolerances. That's the only gripe I have with this figure. So I can recommend him. Do I recommend replacing if you have the original? Not necessarily, unless you want to. For me, I have an alt mode display, so I'll use one as robot and one as alt. So that's why I have two. So don't replace them if you don't want to. But if you missed out on the original, this is definitely one that can fill up that missing spot. I picked up mine from the showzstore.com. Check them out. If you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, And don't forget to get your bell on so you get notified about future content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time.